So this is the final week of the parables of Jesus. Now Jesus grants understanding to those who are seeking after him. He reveals the truth to those who are willing to listen and to thoughtfully consider what he has to say. Conversely, those whose hearts are hardened against him, well, they will have the truth hidden from them. In his grace, we are given ability to hear and to understand and bear fruit, and ultimately join him in eternity. Understanding this, let's look at the parable of the heart of man. Now you'll find that in Matthew 20, 1 through 16. And it tells us, "For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. Now he agreed to pay them a denarius for the day and sent them into his vineyard. About 9 in the morning, he went out and saw others standing around in the marketplace doing nothing. So he told them, 'You also go and work in my vineyard, and I'll pay you whatever is right.' So they went. He went out again about noon and about 3 times in the afternoon and did the same thing. About 5 in the afternoon, he went out and found still others standing around, and he asked them, 'Why have you been standing here all day long, doing nothing?' 'Because no one has hired us,' they answered. So he said to them, 'You also go and work in my vineyard.' And in the evening, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, 'Call the workers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last ones hired and going on to the first.' Now the workers that were hired about 5 in the afternoon came, and each one received a denarius. So when those came who were hired first, well, they expected to receive more. But each one of them also received a denarius. When they received it, they began to grumble against the landowner. 'These who were hired last worked only about an hour,' they said, 'and you've made them equal to us, who have borne the burden of the work and the heat of the day. I want to give the ones who were last hired the same as I give to you. Don't I have the right to do so? Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or are you so envious? Because I am generous. So the last will be first, and the first will be last.'" Now, Jesus wasn't teaching that an employer should give his workers equal pay for unequal work. That wasn't the message at all. But he was showing that even the most unlikely people enter God's kingdom. And because of God's grace and the sacrifice of Jesus, they receive its full blessing. It truly doesn't matter if you've been a follower of Jesus for 30 years. And your neighbor just heard the word and came to Christ. His reward will be the same as yours. Now let's look at the parable of the lost sheep. That's in Matthew 18, 10 through 14. "See that you do not despise one of these little ones. For I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go to look for that one, the one that wandered off? And if he finds it, he's happier about that one sheep than about the 99 that didn't wander off. Now in the same way, our Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should perish." Now Jesus told us what the lost sheep story tells us, what it teaches us. The message of the parable of the wandering sheep is very clear. God's desire, God's will, is to bring all sinners home to him. That includes you. He loves you. You matter to him. Every last person matters to him. There are 7.8 billion people on the planet, and God created each of them. each his children, and he knows each of them by name. He knows us so completely that he's counted the hairs on each of our heads. Counting the hair on some of us is a lot easier than counting the hair on the rest of us. God's desire is that all 7.8 billion people will follow Jesus so that they can enjoy the magnificence of eternal life. 7.8 billion people. Not 7.8 billion minus one, because he'll go after that one. Now let's look at Matthew 25, 1 through 13. At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. Now 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps, but they didn't take any extra oil with them. The wise ones, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. The bridegroom was long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and, well, they fell asleep. Now at midnight, the cry rang out, "Here's the bridegroom. Come out to meet him." Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish one said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil. Our lamps are going out." "No," they replied, "there may not be enough for both of us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourself." But while they were on their way to buy the oil, well, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet. And then the door was shut. Later, the others also came. "Lord, Lord," they said, "open the door for us." But he replied, "Truly I tell you, I don't know you. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." It's plain as day. That bridegroom represents Christ. Throughout the Old Testament, God represents himself as a husband of Israel. Then in the New Testament, Jesus has sacrificially and lovingly chosen the church to be his bride. Being ready for Christ's return ultimately involves only one thing from us, but that one thing will show itself in how we live our lives. If you're ready for Christ's return, first and foremost, you must be born again through the saving faith in Jesus. So what exactly is a saving faith? It is you truly believing in your heart about his death, burial, and resurrection, that he is the Son of God who gave himself for us, to redeem us from our wickedness, and to purify us as people that are his very own. Then our faith in Jesus will manifest itself in every aspect of our lives. We'll begin to show a desire for greater holiness and a life of less sin, and these changes will be apparent to those around us. So that's a really good place to end part 5. You know what it boils down is that you're not what you say you'll do. You are what you do. So remember, brothers and sisters, we are all in this together, and I'm pulling for you. God bless you and your family, and keep you safe. Until next week, adios. No, wait. One last point. If you have a topic that you have a desire to hear or to learn about, please send me a message. I'll add it to the library. We'll see ya.